Okay, I believe we are live now. Let me just double check to make sure. Now I'm wondering how can I? Because I notice when I see the live on the what you call it on the YouTube.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I want to change the. I want to change the icon.
Oh, you have to go into the studio, I think. You mean the thumbnail?
Yeah, can you do? Can that be done while it's going live,
I am not sure.
or does it have to be after?
I do mine afterwards.
Do it after. Yeah, I guess I'll have to do it after. Um, let me see something. Yeah, I'll just do it after. Um, let me see.
How was your day?
Give me 1 second. I'll be right with you. Let's see. Sign out and sign back in. I'll be right with you.
I see where your show is on.
Yeah, that's why I was just checking out. On the other computer. Give me 1 second. I'll be with you. Oh, it has a picture. It actually has a picture up there now. I'm looking at it. This is
On
live.
what? On your YouTube?
Yeah,
What picture do you have up there?
it actually has a picture up there. It has a picture of the screen of me and you on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's a still picture.
yeah. Okay, Oshio.
Oh,
Yeah,
see, go to
everyone.
YouTube.
Shio, Shiu, as we say in the East Coast dialect. Um, yeah, we're here just doing a quick live. We're not going to be. Oh wait, it put the wrong. Wait a minute, it put the wrong title. Oh man, what did it do? Let me see if I can. It put the wrong title. That's not the title. Let me see if I can edit that.
And edit.
Let's see.
Mm-mm.
Let me see. But yeah, but that might mess it up. Let me see something.
You-
Um, edit. Yeah, okay, yeah, I can.
Yeah, that was a good show today.
Yeah, hold on.
Mm-mm.
Oh, this is a big mess up.
You want to come out and come back in?
No, I'm editing it now. Women in. Let's see, I'm bugging. Really bugging.
How was your day?
Hold on. In history was mentioned during 4. 4. Okay, now it's right. Oh man. Save the changes. Okay, hopefully it. Nah, that's better. That's better. Wow. I don't know how I messed that up. Man, that was I don't know what I was thinking about. That's what happens when you rush. Yeah. So yeah, show everybody. Um, so we're just gonna do a brief live, maybe half an hour, and I'm joined with my co-host Firebird Grey Wolf, co-host and godmother Firebird Grey Wolf, and we want to honor um, American Indian women during Women's History Month. Okay, and oh, I see we have Strong Bear.
Strong Bear's on there.
Strong Bear is on there.
You know.
Yeah,
Hey, sis.
Strong Bear. Oh, yeah, maybe I should get Strong Bear. Strong Bear, did you want to come on the on join in on the live? It's up to you. It's not mandatory. I could send you the email link. I could email you the link if you would like. Happy spring solstice to you too, Strong Bear.
Is today spring or tomorrow?
Um, it's usually the 21st. It's today the 20th or the 21st. Unless it start on the 20th.
Today is the 20th.
I think so.
I do so many things, I lose count of the days.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, let me know, Strong Bear, if you want to join in on this live. I could email you the link. It's not mandatory. I'm just throwing
Happy
it out.
Women's Month.
Yeah, happy Women's Month, Strong Bear, and happy Women's Month to all of the matriarchs out there. I wonder if she's still at the computer. Let me know if you wanna join in on the live, Strong Bear. We'll get you in on here. I can email you the link. She's not replying. Maybe she stepped away from the computer. Um, but anyway, um, yeah. So yeah, we want to honor the women. Which the women are very important. You know, among indigenous peoples here. You know, and we definitely don't want to let this month pass without honoring the mothers. You know, and so you want to add something to that, Firebird?
Yes, today we're going to read a little history of Native American women that were heroes, not really told in, I guess, colonization type of institutions. They don't tell you great contributions that Native women made. Someone's in office now in the White House, but other than that, you don't really hear about women written in history, but not told in school books. So we're going to mention some of the women and tell you their contributions and their names. And
Yeah.
once again, Mikiel,
And on that note, I must mention that earlier today, um, Firebird did a live, which I want for my viewers to go and check out on her channel, um, which is Native Voices Turtle Island. Okay. Um, you want to talk about the live that you did today before we get into, the topic of discussion?
well, the last couple of days I've been interviewing indigenous heroes in the community, and they are healers and artisan. And today I had the privilege of hosting an interview with spiritual leader Donna Crone. She's a healer, Reiki master, EFT master, natural healing, plant healing. She does a host of other things. She was winner of the Native American Music Awards with her drum group. And we had a fantastic time. If you come over on my new show, you'll get to meet her and see what she's about. And she left personal information as well for people to reach out to her, um, musically or for health.
Excellent, excellent. Um, and you want to give them a little teaser also about her practice?
Her health practice.
Yeah,
I just said she's a Reiki master, natural healing, plant healing. She deals with aroma.
chakras and
Yes, plant healing, aromatherapy. She's a life coach. She's a licensed marriage uh, ministry, indigenous. She does so many things. It's just beautiful.
yeah. So um, so just a little teaser for y'all. So definitely go over there. Don't sleep on not looking at that program because um, we talk about Reiki. You're talking about using the energy um, in the hands to heal people from a distance. You know, um, and it's because when you talk about healing, indigenous healing is not just physical. It's not just mundane. Like when you go to the doctor, they just deal with healing from one perspective. They just look at oh, you have this wrong in this part of the body, so we're going to give you this pill, and we're going to operate and this and that. But with indigenous healing, it's mind, it's holistic, it's mind, body, and spirit. Okay, so when you're talking about stuff like Reiki, you're talking about healing on also on the uh, 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 um, other plane of existence. You're healing, you're working the energy um, in the body. You're dealing with it from a spiritual perspective as well. Okay, so that's just a little teaser. And she works on your chakras. You know, I'm not gonna spoil it for you. I'm just gonna tease you with
she
that
does.
right there.
She does animal Ricky as well.
Say that again. I didn't hear you.
She does animal Ricky.
Right, she does animal Reiki as well. So if you want your pets to be healed, you would take your pets there as well. Okay, but I'm not gonna spoil it for you. Go over to Native Voices Turtle Island and watch the whole program. Okay,
Right.
yeah. So
We spoke of before the aspects of certain histories, and to be in the culture and practicing it. to learn what we're doing on inside, not just from books or theories, but what we're actually doing in the culture that you know of today.
Exactly. Exactly. And also, Firebird did another show yesterday that you all missed. Um, with
Raven
yeah, go ahead,
Featherclaw.
tell him.
Raven Featherclaw. She's also a healer and an artisan, and she makes beautiful crystal jewelry and stones, and she encases them. There was a little reverb on my side of the audio, but you can still get something out of it. You can hear her clearly. So come over and watch that too. You want to learn aspects of the culture and not just certain aspects. This is what I was featuring.
Exactly. Yeah, so y'all want to check out that show as well, okay? Um, because her guest yesterday does a lot of nice craft work, you know. Um, Definitely, she has, pieces of jewelry that will help you um, spiritually, you know, as well as health wise and stuff like that. So, you know, definitely go and check that out so that you can see what she has to offer as well. Okay. So, all right. So now we're going to get on with the program. And you have to pardon the noise there in the back because I'm in I'm in the boogie down Bronx. And, it's noisy out here. As you know, Firebird. This is your old stomping grounds.
I love it. Soundview area.
Yeah,
Well, spirits live in that area. Soundview Park. Been sightings of native children playing in there, and it's very spiritual.
yeah. I remember you when you back in the days. You were right out there in Soundview, and we used to go out there and practice drumming and in the park and yeah.
Yeah, and that history has a big, uh, powerful meaning there, and in the Bronx as well. Lenapes were everywhere, and different
Right.
confederacies of Lenape, and the spirits are definitely there by the water. Uh, the Taino people would come up to that area and trade with natives. And then they would go back home. Some ended up, according to Evan Pritchard, some came up and intermarried with the natives there, but they
Hmm.
used to trade wampum. Wampum was very big in that area, wampum, and a lot of people wear wampum in their jewelry. So the Bronx has a very interesting history of native occupation.
Yeah.
So if you get a chance, go over and feel the spirits in Soundview. You definitely feel them by the water.
Oh
It's
yeah.
amazing.
Oh yeah. 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 I remember when you used to live out there. And it's just not just there, um, but all over the Bronx. Not just where you
Hmm.
used to live, but also all over the Bronx.
Hmm.
Um, like you have
Crescent Point area,
huh?
Crescent Point, all that area. You
Yeah.
know, villagers were there. Well, villages were everywhere, but that's a very famous area. They had a lot of wampum over there, you know, an abundance of wampum, and they sold their wampum, and it's just very spiritual. We had ceremony there as well, and it was just a beautiful thing. Taino people came as well to honor their ancestors. So
Mm-hmm.
come over, and if you live in New York, check out some of that um, energy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And yeah, so you know, so now in honoring.
OCO, someone saying hi.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's strong bear.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. So today we'd like to take a look at a historical Indigenous American um, female figure. Um, and again, I'm using the word Indigenous, Native American, all of those terms loosely for clarification for the greater audience. Okay. Um, and so we want to look at a warrior woman by the name of Lozen. Okay.
Spell it
Um,
for them.
huh?
Spell it for them.
Lozen.
E-E-N.
Okay, or Losen. Um, now, she was Apache, and she also rolled with Geronimo. Okay, and she started out. She was rolling with her brother, but also not. She wasn't just a warrior woman, but she was also um, a healer. She was a healer. Um, she was also a prophetess. Okay, um, and she could, when the enemies when they were going to war and stuff like that, she was able to prophesy about where the enemy was going to be. Okay, and they would go to her for that particular information. Okay, and she used to ride right alongside with her brother. They would
Mm-hmm.
be whooping ass. Um, and her brother um, had a quote. You know, um, let me see if I can pull that quote up. I'm gonna look on my other computer. Give me 1 second. Her brother Vittorio said that Lozen is my right hand, strong as a man, braver than most. I'm getting feedback, Firebird.
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead and read. I'll correct it.
Yeah. Okay, it's off, I guess. Okay, good. So I'll continue. Yeah. So her brother Vittorio was quoted saying, "Lozen is my right hand, strong as a man, braver than most, and cunning in strategy. Lozen is a shield to her people." Okay, that's just how bad she was.
Yeah,
And
she was a bad mama. She also
yeah,
became a war chief.
huh?
She became a war chief.
Right. And she had gained the respect of Geronimo, and after a certain point, she started rolling with Geronimo, and that was an honor because Geronimo was no joke. You know, Geronimo was no joke,
But
serious
you never
warrior.
hear about her in
Yeah. I'm like,
the book.
why is it they don't talk about this woman?
Paper genocide.
Yeah, that's another form of paper genocide. You know, that's another form of paper genocide. This woman was bad, kicking behind like that. You know,
Alito.
and and you don't hear anything about her. You know,
Nothing.
that's a shame. It's just a shame. You know, and yeah, I'm gonna matter of fact, I'm gonna read a little something um for you all on her. Give me 1 second.
B. Cooper. Oh, Alito. I just got a
Hey, B. Cooper.
I just got another notification. Someone else is coming on the show. She's honored to tell her history. She has some deep history.
Yeah,
Very
sounds
deep,
sounds
deep
good.
history.
Sounds good. Um, so okay, and this is coming from ancientorigins.net. It says Lozen, an intelligent and brave
You go
Apache
ahead and
warrior
read.
woman. Huh?
Go ahead and read.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm pulling this up because I know there's going to be some things that I may be leaving out of the story, and I don't want to do that. So that's why I'm pulling up this article so that we cover, as much of her story as possible. Um, so Lozen was a female warrior of the Chiricahua Apaches, known also as the Members or Warm Springs Apache who lived during the 19th century. Apart from her prowess as a warrior, Lozen is reputed to have been a skilled military strategist, as well as being highly proficient when it came to medicinal matters. Additionally, Lozin was her people's spiritual leader, and according to legend, possessed spiritual abilities that enabled her to detect the movement of her enemies, thus helping her to plan her strategies. Some have dubbed Losin as the Apache Joan of Arc.
Yes, she was fierce.
Losin, a secret name. The name Losin is an Apache war title given to one who has stolen horses in a raid. It has been said that during Losin's time, many Apaches used titles or nicknames in public and seldom used their birth names. This was due to the belief that by doing so, she was conserving her spiritual power. Lawson's personal name seems to be no longer known today, not by the general public at least. Lawson was born during the 1840s, perhaps around the middle towards the end of that decade. Lawson's place of birth is said to have been somewhere in the area of New Mexico, Arizona, northern Mexico, which was called Apacheera at that time. Her brother was the famous Apache war chief Victorio. Even as a young girl, Lawson is said to have shown that she had no interest in the traditional roles that females played in her tribe, i.e., being in charge of domestic affairs. Instead, she was keener to learn the art of war and the ways of the warrior. It has been it has been said that Lawson was tutored in these areas by her brother Victorio. Apart from a martial education, Lawson also studied medicine, and she became a medicine woman in addition to her role as a warrior. Lawson's abilities. By the age of 20, Lawson was apparently an expert at stealing horses, which probably accounts for the title she used in public. In addition, Lawson was skillful at writing, shooting, and planning strategies. She fought alongside her brother and often sat beside him at council ceremonies, as well as participating in warrior ceremonies, and often quoted saying by Victorio is that Lawson was his right hand, strong as a man, braver than most, and cunning in strategy. Lawson is a shield to her people. Lawson is also Lawson is also said to have been gifted at the ability to detect the movement of her enemies. According to legend, Lawson would stretch out her arms with her palms facing the sky. Then she would follow the sun whilst praying to Unseen, the Apache creator of life. It has been claimed that when she felt a tingling in her hands and when her palms darkened, Lawson would know the direction from which her enemies were coming. Armed
Wow.
with this knowledge, Lawson would help her people avoid capture. San Carlos Reservation escape. Nonetheless, in 1870, the Apache were driven out of their lands onto Ontario reservations. Lawson and her people were on the San Carlos Reservation, where in 1877 they decided to escape from its harsh conditions. They managed to make it back onto their own lands, but
To their
had to fight
homeland.
to preserve their freedom. 2 years later, they were sent onto another reservation. Victorio, Lawson, and other Apache warriors continued to fight against their oppressors. In 1880, Victorio was killed in a battle. Lawson and a small band of warriors wanted revenge and began raids across New Mexico and Arizona. Eventually, Lawson and her warriors joined forces with Geronimo, another prominent war chief of the Apache. When Geronimo surrendered to the Americans in 1886, his followers, including Lawson, were sent to Florida and then to Alabama. The Apache were not used to the climate of their new home, and many are said to have died of diseases such as diphtheria and tuberculosis. Lawson was one of these, as she died in 1889 as a result of tuberculosis. She is said to have been buried in Alabama in an unmarked grave. Wow, amazing.
Yeah, she was also Geronimo's when she wrote him. She was also one of his right hand people. That's how
Right,
powerful she was. But you
that's
won't
right.
see any of that in the movies
Nope.
or the European textbooks in school.
They
You
sure
have,
didn't have it in the Geronimo movie with Wes Studi.
huh?
They sure didn't have it in the Geronimo movie with Wes Studi.
No. That's giving too much credit to women as well as being native, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep.
She was very powerful.
Hmm.
You know, another Joan of Arc, I guess you might say.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's like, why not, why not tell that story? That's very important history, you
Oh,
know?
because who's saying it's a man's world?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. James
But it
Brown.
wouldn't be
It's a
anything.
man's world.
Oh, who is this? I love you, Auntie. Who's that? Oh, who is that? I love you too. It a
Ita
wamba mingo. Oh,
Itawam Bambingo.
love you too. We're honoring Women's Month.
Mm-hmm.
Did you put that in your title
I sure
up
did.
here?
Yeah, I surely did.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, we're talking about paper genocide, how many ways it's done. It's not only done on the censors. It's not only done by skin color. It's done all different
Gender
types of
as well.
ways.
Done by gender as well.
By gender as well.
Yep.
You know.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's
she was
ridiculous.
very powerful. I don't know if anyone's part of the Benet tribe. Jerry
Eagle feather.
Eagle Feather Monroe. It goes the name Monroe again. He was the chief of the Benet tribe, and
Hmm.
they have a new chief now. But his people are San Carlos
Right.
Apache.
Exactly. Yeah. For those who don't know, that was Chief Blackhawk's son, the late Chief Blackhawk. Not the historical figure, but Chief Blackhawk from
CO
Yonkers, New York.
Little Mayhem.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were San Carlos, and they have a new chief there now.
Hmm. Chief Blackhawk used to hold an annual powwow up in Yonkers every year.
Yeah,
Um,
he would let me MC. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, and then he
he
would
supported women power
oh
with
yeah,
MC and give history.
oh yeah, from
I,
way
I
back.
was very honored.
I remember that powwow from way back in the 90s. That's how long I've been going to that powwow.
Right, he was a
Yeah,
master martial artist as
he was a
well.
master martial artist. That's right. He was
Not
the
with
father.
swords and knives and everything, like my chief.
Yeah, yeah. He was the father of, for those who remember the movie The Last Dragon.
Sure enough,
Show enough. He was show
sure
enough
enough.
father. Who's the master? I'm the master.
Chief
No one's
Blackhawk
the
was the
master. Who's
master.
the master? I'm the baddest. Who's the meanest? Who's the baddest? Who's the meanest, baddest mofo around this
Sure
town?
enough.
Show enough.
Good memories. The
Yeah,
Last Dragon, one of my favorite movies.
me too. Me too.
They
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have a page on Facebook. Check
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you might want to check it out.
yeah. Chief Blackhawk was Shonuff's father.
A
Yeah.
lot of people don't know also paper genocide. There's Native American style martial arts, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm. That's
We had
right.
our own type of fighting and with weapons, and we did forms of martial arts as well.
That's a
You
fact.
know,
That's a fact.
another form of paper genocide.
Another form of paper genocide. That's right.
It's
Yeah.
amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
But yeah,
today
that.
we're honoring with fierce. He's so kind. The men that respect the men, the women. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh
In
yeah.
our culture, the matriarchs, the women, uh, were the ones that picked the chiefs and
That's right.
the sub chiefs, and were responsible. The clans mothers. I'm a clans mother. Lead into ceremonies and things like that. Make the major decisions. On the Lakota side, they're patriotic. So it's a man's world there,
Yeah.
but for us traditionally, it's matrilineal.
Yeah, that's what
So
it varies from tribe to tribe. Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
So fierce truth seeker, I thank you for honoring that history and keeping it real and
Oh yeah.
honoring the women today. It's very special and a good feeling. I
Oh
thank
yeah.
you so much.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's not even no thought about it. Not even a second thought. That's automatic. I honor the matriarchs. But for those who so we don't leave this piece of information out. What we were just talking about. Chief Blackhawk. Yeah, he was Shonuff's father. His son Jerry Eagle Feather headed the B'nai Indian tribe, and he passed away um, this year. Was it this year or last year?
I believe it was right after Christmas,
Right after
or
Christmas.
right. No, my chief died right before. I think they died 2 weeks before last year, the end of last year.
Yeah, no, it was fairly recent, months
Yeah, it
ago.
was last year, but the end coming into this year.
Hmm. Yeah, so
Um,
just wanted to, for those who didn't know, you know, let y'all know, um, and send condolences to the family as well. And yeah, because Chief, especially me, because Chief Blackhawk's powwow was actually that was my first powwow.
oh,
Yeah. Yep, that was my first powwow. Yeah,
right.
back in the 90s.
Did you
Yeah.
enjoy it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And yeah, so in honor of women's history, um, did you want to add anything to that before we close out?
Oh, I can read 10 women
Nice,
to
nice.
honor at least 10 today.
Sure.
Okay. Throughout history, Native American women have always served as leaders, healers, artists, and anything else they wanted to be. But you wouldn't know it from reading most history textbooks, right? Paper genocide.
Paper
Typically,
genocide.
only Pocahontas and Sacagawea are discussed, and all too often their stories take a supporting role to dominating white male narratives. If you think Native American Heritage Month in November will fill in the gaps left out by our inadequate American educational system, think again. Not to mention, this time of year can actually be very complicated for Native people. That's why the Indigenous Peoples Day celebrated on October 12th. We're brushing up on our Native women know how and honoring the Indigenous women who've changed the world and continue to inspire others, Native and non Native alike, to keep making history. Take U.S. Representative Sharice Davids and Deb Harlan, for example, or Standing Rock's Anna Lee Rain Yellowhammer, who sparked the No DABL movement back in 2016 and even provided its slogan, Mini Wankani, or Water is Life. Native women don't just need a page in our U.S. history textbooks or even a chapter, they need the whole book and then some. But for now, here's a very short list of 10 historical Native women you need to know. Number one, Leda Conley, 1869 to 14 to 1869 to 1946. One of the first female Native attorneys, Eliza Burton Leda Conley, graduated from Kansas City School of Law in 1902 and became the first woman admitted to the Kansas bar. According to the Women's Museum of California, the cell of Wyandotte Nation's sacred Kansas burial ground to the U.S. federal government in 1906 upset Conley, who was a member of the tribe. So she and her sisters launched a campaign to protect and preserve the Huron Cemetery in Kansas City, where many of their own ancestors were laid to rest. They took up camp just outside the cemetery, took turns standing guard with muskets drawn, and put up signs that read, Trespassers beware, to prevent the sale of land. Conley stood her ground for years, and in 1909, her fight to protect her tribe's sacred land went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. That year, she put her legal skills to work and became the only third woman, the second female attorney, and the first Native American woman to argue a case in front of the Supreme Court. Many believe her case, in which she argued that Native American burial grounds were entitled to federal protection was the first of its kind too. Sadly, the Supreme Court dismissed Conley's case, but nevertheless she persisted. In 1916, the secretary was designated a federal park today. The cemetery names Wyandotte National Burial Ground enjoys National Historic Landmark status. Conley was laid to rest in a cemetery following her death in 1946. I'd like to also say Christopher Columbus statue in New York City still stands because it's federally protected, and burial grounds are not federally protected until people like her put their foot forward to ensure that burial grounds are our sacred grounds. So many of them are being designated to become golf courses and apartment buildings and burying on top of our ancestors. But yet the statue of Christopher Columbus is protected in New York City federally. You know, even though people know that he was a murderer, genocide, he committed the first genocide. He was the first mass murderer of North America.
And pimp.
And pimp. They say, some historians say the actual ship, the Pinta, which means the painted, was a ship put aside for his men to bring prostitutes on and to travel with them to the new world, their new world. You know, so those are just footnotes of history that I'm sharing with you. The next person is Wilma Mankiller.
Yeah, I was gonna mention her earlier too. Good, you got her. Okay.
2010. Okay, a citizen of the Cherokee Nation, Wilbur Mankiller was born in Tahlequah, Oklahoma in 1945. When she was 11 years old, the Bureau of Indian Affairs relocation program moved Mankiller and her family from their rural ancestry home in Oklahoma to San Francisco, California. As a teenager, she became involved in San Francisco's Indian Center, assisted and supported the Black Panther Party, okay, in its early days, and found activist inspiration in Native American students' occupation and attempted reclamation of Alcatraz. Okay, let's see. Mankiller returned to Oklahoma in 1977 and promptly initiated a number of community development projects to benefit her Cherokee neighbors. In 1983, she became deputy principal chief of the Cherokee Nation based on the strength of her community leadership. And 2 years later, when the principal chief resigned, Mankiller became the first female principal chief of the modern Cherokee Nation.
That's right.
She served 10 years in the role governing the second largest tribe in the United States. Among her change-making contributions as chief, tribal enrollment tripled, employment tripled, infant mortality declined, and educational achievement rose, according to Wilma Mankiller Foundation. Mankiller left public office in 1995. In 1998, she was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I hope that when I leave, it will be said, I did what I could, Mankiller once said. Today, the Wilma Mankiller Foundation works with indigenous communities to carry on Mankiller's legacy of social justice and development in Indian country and beyond. And number 3, and I'll leave it at that for today, Buffalo Calf Woman. unknown. Her death was 1879. We all remember the story of Custer's Last Stand from history class. But do you know about Buffalo Class Road
Half
Woman
woman.
and her courageous contribution to Custer's defeat? As Mental Floss reports, back in 1876, the U.S. government set out to force Sioux tribes onto reservations and claim a swath of their land in Montana territory, but Native American tribes in the area, including the Lakota Sioux, the Northern Cheyenne, and the Arapaho, were having none of it. So, in defense of their land, Northern Plains Native Americans face off with U.S. troops along the Little Bighorn River in a bloody battle that ended in some 260 U.S. soldiers dead, including Lieutenant Colonel George Custer, and the United States defeat at the Battle of Bighorn went down in history as the most successful action fought by Native Americans against the U.S. Army in the West.
Stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there. Now, why is it that they never taught us that when they talk about Native American history? I remember you were telling me about her, Firebird. And I was upset because I was like, why don't they teach that? When they talk about it, I don't even think in the movie on Custer that they even showed that.
Well, they also don't tell you that amongst the 260 that died, some say 216, a lot of them got killed by friendly fire. When they saw thousands and thousands of tribes coming at them, they just panicked on their horses and started to fire just randomly and killing each other. So that's another part of history that they don't tell you. But Buffalo Calf Woman, according to tribal oral history, it was Buffalo Calf Road Woman, a Northern Cheyenne woman who delivered the final crushing blow.
Mm, mm, mm.
The final crushing blow.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm. The final crushing blow to
Custer's
raggedy ass. Excuse my expression.
Knocked him off his horse, leaving him vulnerable, and may have even killed him. And others says she killed him because he was attacking her loved one.
Mm.
Yes, she saved her brother.
Mm, mm, mm.
And after that battle, it was the women and children that came back and chopped up the bodies.
Mm.
You know why they chopped up the bodies and scalped them?
Nope.
So that their spirits could not go in the afterlife and fight again in another war against them.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
I was taught that as a child.
That's
and
deep.
That's historically correct.
That's deep. Wow. That is deep.
Yes. So she did the final blow to Custer. Another form of paper genocide.
Another form of paper genocide. I'll be. Man,
right.
We're not going to give them everything.
Our history is not only about melanation and
exactly
my Mongolian eyes or whatever. It's the inner things that are important as well, because after that, it's much more variables of the history that people should know, instead of always debating on hair texture, and
Mm-hmm.
because things went on after that.
Right.
So
Exactly.
all of that's important. Don't get me wrong, audience.
Right.
All of
Right.
that's important, but this is important for you to learn too. This is
Mm-hmm.
something else that the history books are not teaching you.
That's right. And we want to talk
know,
about it all.
we want to talk about it all. We want to talk about all the aspects,
Mm-hmm. We
all
want to
of
tell
it.
the untold story on all those levels.
And something else eerie, um, Custer's scout was Crow, and his name was Curly. He tried to warn Custer
Wait,
of,
wait.
you don't want to
Say that.
go.
Say that again. Say that again, Firebird.
Custer's scout was Crow because Crow was an enemy to the Sioux, and he tried to warn Custer not to go down there. You don't want to do it. There's thousands and thousands of Indians, and Custer wouldn't listen, and they broke up in different regiments, and he took the 200 and plus to their deaths. And ironically, who else's nickname was Curly?
Oh yeah, yeah. Crazy Horse.
Crazy Horse. Is
Hmm.
that ironic?
Yeah.
That's very
Yep.
spiritual.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And why did they call him Curly?
Uh-huh.
So that's what I wanted to share. I wanted to read a little bit for you, and share my personal knowledge as a historian.
Yeah.
And
Man, you dropped it. You dropped it heavy. Oh yeah. So see, now this is why I say I'm talking to my viewers, my subscribers. This is why I say you have to go over to the Native Voices Turtle Island, okay, and check out Firebird Show. Okay. That's our sister channel. So
yeah,
after you
on
leave
here
here,
I deal with history. There I deal a lot with a little history and culture. And as I said, I would love for
we do
some of
with
your
that here too.
viewers.
But that's her focus. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my
Hmm.
focus, because you need to know the inner workings of us as a people, and not on the outside looking in, and research, researching on, do the whole spectrum.
Hmm.
Fierce Truth Seeker is going to teach you the whole spectrum of Black Indian debunked. We were the first ones to use that title. Black Indians debunked. Well, you're trying to teach all aspects of history,
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't just deal with. I'm not just
right?
locked
You're
into
trying to teach
that.
everything.
Yeah, yeah. My focus is though on East Coast, and Caribbean culture, and history. Um, that's the distinguishing factor. Other than that, we deal with here the whole spectrum of the history, the culture, traditions. The whole spectrum, but from an East Coast perspective
Right.
and
I may
Caribbean.
add. I may add also about Custer. Um, his life wasn't uh, so great after his death, because he failed as a leader. He got slandered. He got bad mouthed. So a lot of people think that he ended up with honors across the board, but actually, his wife had to fight for his to reinstate his honor,
Mm.
because the papers are, our European brothers and sisters here, they were devastated that that war was lost by savage Indian people. How dare they win?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
how dare, how dare,
Exactly.
how dare they win? You know, so everyone thinks, same as Columbus, his endings weren't so good either, and they don't teach that really in basic history either. He got moved in his grave several times. He
Hmm.
ended up in jail. They don't honor him in Spain. Someone is crying. It's funny, right? They don't honor him. They don't have big days in him. The major city now is New York. They're still honoring Christopher Columbus, and you know, Custer's wife. She fought to her dying day to reinstate his honor because that was a major embarrassment
Major embarrassment.
for the United States.
Hmm.
know, people try to make him a big hero, but they don't know that he was basically dishonored for quite a long time.
Hmm.
So that's what I have to share today. Freehawk,
Yeah. So
how do we correct the paper genocide? Okay, we have to write Freehawk. We have to write our own books as much as possible. We have to have our own dialogue, our own journals. Um, a lot of times in school, people tell their children, even though you know it's a lie, just to get your grade, go along with the lie because the Board of Education um, is basically in charge of your child. You know, so I feel we have to start institutions of higher learning that the children won't be intimidated by this type of rhetoric that's going out there, you know. So that's how you correct that. It's but so much you can do unless you bring it to your board of education in your town and speak to them. You know, I know some schools are independent in their thinking. They'll teach some of the history of Native American history in their curriculum, but it depends. It's not across the board, as Fierce Truth Seeker knows. It's not across the board, and because each state is independent and in their statehood and how they run things, we have to go by their laws. So I would just suggest that we start our own higher institutions,
yep.
um, not racially, but try to include, not discriminate against any phenotype because you're
Hmm.
wiping out, you'll be guilty of paper genocide. You
Exactly.
know, we're all in this together, and I'll stick with that because I live the culture every day, and we can't really separate from each other. You know,
Mm-mm.
that's a delusion. Because what's my motto, Fierce Truth Seeker? What's my motto? What will happen to all of us?
Oh yeah, yeah. Then when they come, they're not gonna say, "Oh, you're, this tribe or you're that tribe." Or, they're coming after everybody.
Coming after everyone. They're not going to
Hmm.
discriminate.
Mm-mm.
So, I mean, if you have any suggestions of higher education that's private taught, maybe you can write us on the show and shoot out some ideas. We'd love to hear from you. I won't be on every show. I'm, Fierce Truth Seeker. He invites me as much as possible, but he will have other guests. He's let me co-host.
Oh yeah, she's welcome as much as her availability is. Okay, so whenever she's not available, you won't see her on the show because she's got her own things to do with her in her personal life. So you know, but the show is open to her whenever she's available. Even if we have the guests, can invite more than one guest. So as long as she's available, she'll be on
I
here.
don't want to hog the camera.
Yeah, no, no, no. It's more. It's
Just try
room.
to teach as much as possible.
Yeah, yeah. It's room for. I think they allow up to six. I think they allow up to six people. After that,
Yeah, 6.
yeah. But on that note, I'm gonna sign off, and we will be back. And tomorrow, I will have a guest, a Cherokee elder, on the show. Okay, um, and she is a wealth of knowledge. I really urge you to join us tomorrow. It'll probably be like around 7 o'clock in the evening, somewhere around that time. I'll post it up in advance. But do join in. Firebird, I believe Firebird will be with us. That's if she's available as
She's my
well.
elder.
Yeah,
And I consider her my spiritual clan's mother.
yep. And she's definitely my elder, someone who I look to for guidance and advice and things of that nature. And I'll be having her on the show tomorrow. I suggest that everybody tune in because you will definitely be in for a lot of good information, and wisdom. Okay, and on that note, until the next time, daughter dog, eh.
Donna Daka, honey.
Thank you to all who showed up in the chat.